I want to move this conversation to a next level, Raj, where I get prepared for a job. I then start working, and my experience has been that when I started working, my company identified about 120 high potentials. Okay, and now after 30 years, I search where are those 120 high potentials. Just a handful are there, which means that many of them lost their way in between the 30 years, right? So you talk about the importance of lifelong learning, right? Where the organization is probably training you, but what is your north pole? Okay, how do you really go there? And therefore, how do I keep myself ready for a lifelong learning? And therefore, what should I be doing? Because the organization will teach you what its priorities are,
Right.
right? But you got to be ready, saying that, hey, I want to be the best in what I do. Now I'll figure out my way. And therefore, the importance of lifelong learning and disrupting yourself every few years,
Right.
okay, is very important. And how do you think this lifelong learning is something that you need to do now that you have disrupted the early school going and college education? How would you want to disrupt if you had say a sheet of paper, uh,
Right.
a working life? How would you disrupt a working professional's life to be better than what he or she did yesterday, 5 years back, or a decade?
Right. Got it. So let's keep coming back to that phrase, lifelong learning. I'll use that as my magnet today in the next 5 minutes. Um, First up, you need to be okay with being called the total fool, right? It could start as simple as asking questions. Many of us don't ask questions simply because, "Idu kuda theriyada unakku? Don't you know even this?" is the retort you're afraid of. But I think somebody famous once said, he who asks the question is probably fool for 5 minutes, but he who never asks the question is a fool for a lifetime.
Mm,
So be okay with being declared the thorough total fool.
mm,
If you can put yourself in that kind of an environment, you are aware, you are infinitely more aware, you are taking everything in, you're absorbing, and you are ready to take risks, because risk taking is one of the most important. Getting out of the comfort zone, they say, getting into the learning zone, they say, getting into flow, they say, all these happen only when you're ready to go out on a limb. I haven't done this before, can I try it? I'll be called a fool, but that's okay.
mm,
I will tell everybody I'm a fool even before I try it.
mm,
So that's the advice most speakers get to. If you're going to slip and fall on a banana peel, just remember one important lesson: laugh before everybody else's laughs. If you can do that, the others won't laugh,
mm.
because the joke is no longer there. Right? The joke has been diffused. So that's one important learning. Be ready to be that learner, wear the joker's hat. They say wear the learner's hat. The learner's hat is like that full cap.
Mm,
It's a full cap,
mm,
and you have to be the learner. The second thing is, uh, there is no learning and doing as separate entities. I will never recommend, if somebody wants to learn Java, I'll not say learn Java in 21 days. Buy the book, or subscribe to this course, or take this one-on-one mentoring session. No, I will ask them the question why they want to learn Java.
mm,
They may someday say, I want to build an app. I'll ask them, why do you want to build an app?
mm,
They will probably say, I want to keep track of expense. And drilling it down further and further like that brings them to that core why. Start
mm.
with why, Simon Sinek. It brings
Yeah.
the core why. When you get that core why, that is what you need to position up front as your true north. And
Mm.
then, whatever it takes, probably it is not even Java you need to learn. You need to
Correct.
learn Kotlin perhaps, or
Mm,
It's not enough if you learn Java. You need to learn design, perhaps. Or
Mm.
probably there is an app that does the same thing already.
Correct.
This kind of drilling down deeper and deeper, many people don't do.
Mm.
They take a course in an aseptic environment thinking that will help them. No,
Mm.
you have to start with why. You will have to attach it with an ongoing physical tangible activity.
Mm.
That brings me to the third thing, which is this activity has to be aligned with the organization's goals.
Mm.
So you can't say, I want to build an app when the company is doing a banking software for somebody else. So you have to work with the teammates, with your manager, with the CEO if you want, and ensure there is at least partial alignment between what the company wants to do to its customers, wants you to do, and you want to do. It's a beautiful dynamic tension there. The
Mm.
customer is pulling the company in one way, the company is pulling the employee in one way, the employee is pushing and pulling in their own way.
Mm.
This dynamic equilibrium will give out.
Mm.
Sometime the employee will sacrifice his or her own goals and join the flow, go
Mm.
with the flow of the company. Sometimes the employee could be so strong, which is what happened with Apple.
Mm.
The Steve Jobs and Johnny Ive combo was so strong, they pulled Apple from near bankruptcy and
Mm.
created the new Apple for all of us.
Exactly.
And it could even be that the company is an immovable object and the employee is an unstoppable force, and the employee spins out and starts their own startup. It could happen. But the most important ingredient there is dynamic tension,
Mm.
push, pull. You cannot just be dead weight, being pushed around and things flow. Because when you're a dead weight, you are causing trouble to the organization itself. You're not
Mm.
causing trouble just for you.
Exactly.
So these are my thoughts when you talk about lifelong learning. Be ready to be the fool. Always remember to dig deeper and deeper to find the why, and try dynamic tension between the company's why and your why.
Okay.